I think Trump's retired today.
I think, yes, I think it was.
Yeah. So humble.
So we're going to get started. We're a very intimate group tonight, and I just want to say a few words of welcome and thanks for our speaker and for our host. If you haven't met me yet, I'm Johanna Fausto. I work for the UCT Fund, which is the organization that supports the University of Cape Town from the United States, both in terms of any interested persons who are interested in making a donation to UCT. We help process those gifts, as well as keeping our alumni to your alma mater warm. And one of the ways we do that is by hosting speakers who come to the United States. So we're thrilled to have a speaker here tonight, and I know many of you are here because you have a wonderful connection not only to UCT, but of course to SHAWCO. So before I introduce him, I just want to give thanks to Dr. Damien Largier for hosting us. He works here at Pfizer, and I appreciate being in your support and for having us here. And I also want to recognize Cindy, who is over there. Thank you so much for putting this together and for having us here as well. So thank you for all your help. And without further ado, I want to introduce the Executive Director of SHAWCO, Mr. Gavin Joachims, who's here, who's going to give a wonderful presentation. Unfortunately, we cannot connect to the internet, or I can't connect through my data, so we're not Facebook Living, but we are recording the event for anybody who is interested in perhaps listening to his talk in the future. I'll be happy to share that link with you eventually for anyone who you may know who might want to hear what Gavin has to say tonight, because of course we all care about SHAWCO and we want to learn more about what the organization is doing today. So without further ado, Gavin, welcome to New York.
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to do this a little bit different, seeing that we're a small group, that we're intimate, but also just my background and my connection with SHAWCO. So if you allow me, the presentation will go a little bit on a personal level, and from there I'll take you into where SHAWCO finds itself today. And it's great being in New York, my first time here, but the traffic is something that...
Welcome to New York.
Welcome to New York. Okay, so my name is Gavin Joachims, and in my life, there's a couple of people for me that really stand out, and obviously for me it's my parents. My mom and dad at the time, under apartheid, really worked hard, like most of our parents did, to provide for us a different kind of reality. And my dad happened to work at Cape Gate Fence and Wire Works for most of his life. He worked with Mendel and Robert Kaplan at the time, and he was called the Black Jew. So the Black Jew managed to carve for us as kids a very interesting history and a very interesting background. So I've got brothers, two brothers, and I've got a sister, and we are a very close-knit family. My family today, I've got three still very young ones. Like Damien said, often we move up and down, and we live here and we live there. And for me in my life, it's also a period where I've settled down in Cape Town. So I've been living in Cape Town now for the past 6 years. I've got a daughter. All my kids, I think, are very blessed. My eldest is a little artist. She had her first art exhibition by the time she was 3 years old, and she was featured all over. My second daughter, Annie. Annie just knows in life what she wants, and she goes through it. So when she was 4 years old, she didn't want a birthday party. All she wanted was a photo shoot at Porsche. So we had to organize with the CEO of Porsche to have her do a photo shoot, which she did. And then my son, Zach just turned 5 on Sunday. He's the little paleontologist. And everything you do is about that in life. He knows every single dinosaur. But I think kids, what they also do is that they ground us in a very, very special way. And I think this for me is also part of the SHAWCO message that I want to bring to you today. I'm very blessed with a beautiful wife. You know, she's the mother that grounds everything that we do. We like to go hiking and all of those things. There's some scenes here at the Stable Mountain, if you've ever been there, if you've ever seen that, and a couple of other places. So really for me in my life, that is what I bring to SHAWCO, to the space. So who is Gavin Joachims? I have got a very long career in social development. I also own a publishing company, and when I joined SHAWCO, for me, the decision for the board was that I do this on the proviso that you allow me to carry on with my business, which they have done. I have worked with the United Nations. I was with the UNDP. I have developed various social strategies for the city of Cape Town, together with the Cape Town Partnership, and various other agencies, both nationally and also globally. So that little boy there in the corner, that 5-year-old there, that boy is also a SHAWCO child. So I grew up in an area called Ravensmead Tiervlei, which was close to the Elsie's River Center. So earlier we were talking about Elsie's River. That was my SHAWCO home growing up. So there we did karate, my sister did ballet, and back in the day my mother would buy what we call kupagani food, and the kupagani food was sold at the SHAWCO Elsie's River Center. So for me, SHAWCO is not just a job, but it's really a gift to be part of this very rich history and this very deep legacy throughout the Western Cape and South Africa. My belief is that at the end of our days, all that we will ever be is the product of our childhood and the product of our youth. Now the very amazing thing about SHAWCO, where we are at today, and I'll talk you through it, we have our SHAWCO drivers, we have many SHAWCO staff. All of us have a history within SHAWCO. Most of us were SHAWCO kids that grew up at the SHAWCO Center in Kensington and the SHAWCO Center in Manenberg. Most of us are generational. So our grandparents and the mother and now the child works in SHAWCO. So however SHAWCO was structured starting out, and whatever the volunteer students have done at the time have left something behind for all of us today. So when we talk about SHAWCO, we say SHAWCO is our SHAWCO. So as you know, SHAWCO stands for the Students' Health and Welfare Centers Organization. We are a public benefit organization. We are also a non-profit organization. We are UCT's oldest and biggest social responsiveness arm. We are the largest student volunteer organization on the African continent today. And as I said, you know, for people like myself and people like yourself, you know, SHAWCO has a very deep part in our being and in our hearts. So I'm going to take you through a little bit about the background. I'm going to talk about all the different parts of SHAWCO today. So we have SHAWCO Health, SHAWCO Education, it is still there. SHAWCO's also got a very big part called SHAWCO Entrepreneurship. SHAWCO owns businesses today as well. We have a very strong academic intervention program. SHAWCO also has an international program. And I'll take you a little bit through about also where SHAWCO goes to in the future. So I'm very honored to have met Robert Foreman. You know, Golda Seltzer was a truly amazing woman. I love history. We were talking earlier in genealogy. And as I go through her thinking, and as I go through her family tree and what it is that this phenomenal woman has brought about, you know, you could see that there was something behind this that wasn't just about student volunteerism or people in the community, but it really was about a heart that wanted to make a change. So when people talk about Golda Seltzer, they would say that Golda was a fighter. You know, she would be there at the time at the medical campus. There was lots of discrimination. You know, so you had male and female students. If they worked with a cadaver, you know, they would be separate working on the cadaver. But that is something that Golda Seltzer fought for, to actually bring the two together. Later on, there was also the same with non-white students. You know, non-white students were not allowed to work on a white cadaver, as an example. Once again, Golda Seltzer was that woman that fought for that. But Arthur Foreman also had the same kind of integrity and work ethic. So Frank Foreman also had the same kind of integrity and work ethic. So when the two of them got married, they left in the morning, they went off to get married, and straight afterwards they were back again at UCT. But the students knew them, they knew them very well. So as the two of them arrived back again at UCT, they formed an arch with stethoscopes. And these two then moved through the arch, thanked everyone, and went straight back to the desks. And this is the kind of legacy and ethic that we still have within SHAWCO today. There was also a young student, his name was Andrew Kinnear. Andrew at the time brought the idea to Golda. He went out into one of the communities, which was known as Windermere at the time, Kensington, and he saw their need to bring medical services to that space. So if we look at the 1940s, it's a very interesting time in our Cape history. So in the 1940s, both the University of Cape Town and Stellenbosch University, there was a lot of research done on what was called these black spots. So these were all the informal areas where people had moved. In those areas, there was high infant mortality, there was increase in disease, sanitation issues, etc., etc. So when they proposed the idea of healthcare services to this area, it was really appreciated at the time. So there was also the UCT Vice Chancellor at the time, Davies, who worked together with them to put together in July of 1943 what was known then as a student outreach program. But out of SHAWCO, there's so many other organizations that started. Today still we have in Cape Town what we call the Peninsula Feeding Scheme. The Peninsula Feeding Scheme provides 28,000 meals per year to primary school kids throughout the Western Cape itself. The Meals on Wheels South Africa started out of SHAWCO and is still operating up until today. We also have other partners like Save the Children. Save the Children today, one of our strong partners, still working within our centers and still providing nutrition to young kids throughout the Western Cape province itself. So if we look at it, you know, SHAWCO has really touched thousands upon thousands of lives. And the beauty of it all is that you all sitting over here have all had a part in this that we here share and live today within SHAWCO. So SHAWCO Health still remains our flagship. Our students, we have 6 clinics that we run per week. We now have 13 different sites throughout the Cape Town metropolitan area. We also do clinics every alternate weekend. We also do in the Eastern Cape what we call our rural clinics. So during the June, July holidays, our students trek all the way to the Eastern Cape. They stop over in Vredenburg, they stop over in George, they stop over in Beaufort West, and then spend the bulk of the time in the most rural parts of the Eastern Cape. Our student volunteers are still there on time, every afternoon from 5:30 onwards, and work till midnight every single Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We also have, over the years, serviced so many different clients. In 2016 again, we had 4,993 patients that were consulted in that year itself. The training provides a lot of exposure to many of these health students. So the impact is not only for the community, but also for our medical students itself. We also have a very big education program. SHAWCO currently offers through our education every afternoon programs in communities like Manenberg. We're still out in Kensington, Khayelitsha, Nyanga, Langa, and so the list goes. We currently service 1,300 learners from grade R all the way to grade 10, and we provide for them structured after school programs, and that is aligned also with the government caps. We also provide for them other spaces. We have toy libraries. In our toy libraries, we have got play therapists that work together with the kids to also identify some developmental needs where they occur. Our programs are also based on academic tutoring, and I will talk you through a little bit more about what we do in terms of our programs with regards to tutoring. The very big part of the work that really started just over 10 years ago is our social enterprise program, or social entrepreneurship. So today SHAWCO owns second-hand clothing stores. SHAWCO owns a transport company. The SHAWCO has various shift IT computer labs throughout the Western Cape. We run a very successful international program. Our service learning program has become a blueprint for social innovation globally. The SHAWCO owns a house where we provide accommodation for both international and local students. And then we have a very successful, what we call an academic intervention program, where we provide tuition for learners grade 10 to grade 12 in all the key science courses, mathematics, physical science, etc. So if we look at our rags to riches, our stores are in Kensington. We also have a store in Mowbray, and then this year, towards the end of last year, we expanded into Manenberg, and this year we consolidated that work in Manenberg itself. So we're always looking for donations of clothing and other things. Like for example, UCT will give us all of their tables and chairs, and we think sometimes that these things are insignificant. But I'll give you an example. I was at one of our sales. At some of these sales we sell everything for R1. So all clothing items go for R1. And there was this one family that bought 7 full bags of clothing. And when I asked the person, the coordinator, what happened there? And we found out that they had a fire on the weekend and the complete shack was burned. So for them, that was a whole new start. So, even at these levels, we don't realize the kind of impact that our work has. Shift IT, as I said, our Shift IT labs, this for me is very phenomenal because we have an opportunity to expose kids from impoverished areas from a very young age to technology. So our kids start from 2 years old. We still have a creche at Kensington as an example. We have creches around in Khayelitsha. So these kids from 2 years old start doing a clicker mouse, and we prepare them. So from the time they're 5, 6 years old, our kids engage in coding. But sometimes there's serendipitous things that happen. So as I said, we still work with the old age home. So one day I was walking into one of the computer labs, and there I see all of these elderly people busy on the computer. So as I peeped in, they were all on Facebook. So then I found out that they were exposed to Facebook, and all of them were communicating with children and families across the world. So some of these things that we don't often realize, what the spin-offs may be. As I said, SHAWCO owns a transport company today. Our transport company really forms the basis of all of our work. Last year alone, we had just under 2,000 student volunteers that we had to move in and out of the different communities, in the mobile clinics, out into areas like Vredenburg, etc. So our transport company forms the real basis of most of the work that we do within SHAWCO today. We also have an academic intervention program. This academic intervention program is really special for us at SHAWCO. Tuition fees are extremely expensive. And what we started some time back is to provide some tuition for learners grade 10 to grade 12 in math, accounting, physical science, life sciences, and English as a first language. So with our transport company, every single Saturday, we bring just under 500 learners. In 2016, we had 490 learners. We bring them to UCT. At UCT, we have educators who are the top in their fields, and they provide their tuition in these various courses. So the young lady over there, the girl in the center, her name is Namkla Gako. In 2015, she was the second top achiever in the whole of South Africa in the national matriculation exams. One of the kids that have come through our SHAWCO intervention program. From Khayelitsha, a very, very humble young girl. She was interviewed on various of the media platforms, on radio and television, and I remember them asking her, so what was your highest mark? She said, no, I got 100% for physical science, 99% for math. And they asked her, so what was your lowest mark? She said, no, I got 84% for isikos. So really it is that kind of impact that the work has done. Even last year, I think from SHAWCO, the idea is that we bring kids through from a very young age, through our programs, and then into UCT. Our pass rate or acceptance rate to UCT last year was 87% of our 490 learners. As I said, our international program, what SHAWCO provides in terms of service learning and experiential learning is like none other. Our students, our volunteer students, have an opportunity to go into the communities. If they are medical, they're exposed to the clinical aspects of the work. They engage with communities at a different level. They learn about different things. The same with our education students. So what we found over the years was that a lot of the international students was also coming into SHAWCO. So SHAWCO then started an international program. We currently provide a 2-week social innovation program. We provide a health medical program, and we provide community development programs to 15 universities globally. Those universities include, for example, here by you, William and Mary, we have got Maryland, Michigan State University. So these are some of the universities that we engage with here, but also globally in Europe, Far East and Australia. I think where the future goes for SHAWCO is really to see how we align, all of these different sectors that we have within SHAWCO. It's a means for us to also revisit, to review and revise. I think we've been very quiet in terms of taking our message out there. So I think our commitment today, together with Johanna and the Office of the Year, is to really ensure that we share with all of you the message and the impact of SHAWCO. We have created discussions with different partners locally and also internationally. Our staff, a very big part of our work is around staff development. I think for us is to have greater accountability to all of our donors and our partners, and really, listening and taking the lead from the people that we serve. I think that is something that SHAWCO has done very well. SHAWCO still remains an organization that operates on the ground. We are an organization of trust within our community, and the only way I think we do this is by having a listening methodology to everything that we do. So our mission today is to work together towards informed, healthy and thriving communities, and to really practice and promote responsible citizenship within the South African context. So I thank you very much for coming and joining and listening to what it is that we do at SHAWCO. Your support for us is very important, but also for us, more important, is this opportunity to come and share and give you an update of the impact that your time has had on SHAWCO. So I thank you very much. If there's any questions, I'll open for some questions.
Why don't you sit down and join us?
Okay, I'll do that. I'll
Yes,
do that.
please.
Awesome.
I'll make you a plate. So you can just relax.